I really do like a multi-purpose ingredient. The finish is fantastic. It is relatively affordable. This product, I cannot say enough good things about. I've worked out some key strategies that help to keep my skin clear while still enjoying the summer. I'm a licensed esthetician and a med spa director, and this routine keeps me clear through 90-degree days, chlorine, and reapplying SPF like my life depends on it, because if we're being honest, it kind of does. If you haven't seen it, I do have this video where I kind of outline in a very rambly way my actual routine. So I recently went to the pool. It was the first day this year that I had a full-on pool day. And so I kind of just recorded the exact products that I personally chose, as well as which ingredients I was looking for and why. So if that's of interest, you can feel free to watch that. This video is not meant to be rambly. This is going to be very direct. I want to be very clear. I'm not going to give you a bunch of options for each individual product step. I'm going to say exactly which product I think you should be choosing. So if you want somebody to just tell you exactly which product to buy for the average person struggling with acne that wants to enjoy the pool, that wants to enjoy the beach in the middle of summer while keeping their skin clear, their skin protected, not sacrificing anything, that's what this video is for. That does not mean that every single product is going to be perfect for you. I make no promises. Skincare is always going to be very personal. So bear that in mind. That being said, I do think that all of these products are fantastic. They are ones that I have personally used. Living in Florida, it is basically summer year round. These products are very, very well tested and very well loved by me. So to get right into it, in the morning, I do believe that basically everybody that is acne prone should be cleansing their skin in some way, shape, or form, particularly in the summer. If you are somebody that is acne prone, I want to make sure you're getting everything off your skin before you go in with your products, because we do want to make sure that the products that follow are penetrating very effectively. We're going to be using active ingredients that are actually doing something to the skin and ideally helping to keep it clear. Now, that cleanser could be very gentle, like the one I'm going to recommend, the Prequel Cleanser. This product, I cannot say enough good things about. It is gentle, it is cost effective, it is lovely to use, genuinely a pleasurable experience. Let's just move on. So the next step would be to ensure that we have some antioxidant protection. Now, some people, they will struggle with vitamin C because it can be in acidic formulations. We don't have to have that anymore. We've fortunately evolved. What I love about the product that I'm about to recommend, the Naturium Vitamin C Complex Serum, it is gentle, but not only is it gentle, it is hydrating, feels lovely on the skin. Like if you're in Vegas, dry as hell, you're going to want something that's hydrating. This is a fantastic multi-purpose, very versatile product. It's just a pleasure to use. So after we move on past the antioxidant serum, the next thing is for people that are acne prone, I do want to make sure that there is something in the morning routine that is actively keeping your pores clear. Azelaic acid, I'm always going to come back to it. It is fantastic. Frankly, you could simplify this routine further by just going straight in with the azelaic acid product that I'm about to recommend, the Naturium Azelaic Acid Emulsion 10%. And I'm specifically calling this one out as opposed to the azelaic topical acid, because that one uses potassium azelloyl diglycinate. That is not true azelaic acid. It is a derivative. If your skin is super, super sensitive, then just use that. If your skin is that sensitive that you cannot tolerate the azelaic acid emulsion 10%, I would actually say forego the Naturium Vitamin C Complex Serum and just focus on getting that azelaic acid product in there. The emulsion is actually kind of moisturizing. Some people have actually used it as a moisturizer. That being said, if you're somebody that can't quite tolerate the true 10% azelaic acid, then go for the topical acid 10%. It's a very lightweight, but it's still hydrating. It is still going to be active. It's still going to have a lot of the same benefits. It's just not as technically speaking proven. Now, if you are super oily, you probably don't need a moisturizer, but I feel like most people, particularly if you're actually undergoing treatment with a, potentially irritating or drying product like the one we're going to recommend in the evening, you will still want some kind of moisturizer during the day. I'm going to give you one option, and it is the Naturium Multipeptide Moisturizer. This is a fantastic midweight product. It has a number of skin beneficial ingredients. It has antioxidants. It has anti-aging ingredients. It is going to help to stimulate collagen production. It's going to help to keep the skin calm, prevent pigmentation from getting worse. It's just a fantastic product. It layers beautifully. It's hydrating. It's cost effective. Everybody that I've recommended this to absolutely loves it. Now, I could make an entire video about how much I love the Naturium products, but we're just going to move on to the next step. And the next step, of course, is sunscreen. And I'm going to just recommend the Black Girl Sunscreen Kids SPF 50. Now, I've talked about this product before. If you know or have followed me on Instagram for a while, you know that I'm absolutely obsessed with it. This This product is fantastic. For the price, the protection level, the skin feel, the cosmetic elegance. This product, I cannot tell you the number of times that I have used this product and then been told your skin just looks amazing. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I get compliments on my skin relatively frequently. Okay, let's just put it out there. That being said, when I wear this particular sunscreen, people notice your face. Now, some people don't want that. Some people don't want that. Some people don't want to have an ostentatious complexion. I like looking like a disco ball, if I'm being honest, when it comes to my skin at least. That's what you're gonna get with this product. It is very dewy, glowy, those kinds of terms, like that glass skin look. Once this has settled down, if your skin is in good shape and you wear this product, you're going to be like just reflecting all the light in the world. And some people will not like that, but I do. If you do not like that, I will say you should get on board with it. But if you really don't like it, then what I would recommend instead is the Naturium UV Reflect SPF 50. Now, I said I wasn't going to give too many options with all these different steps, but that one is actually worth mentioning because it is a fundamentally different experience to the Black Girl Sunscreen Kits SPF 50. It is more expensive, I will admit, but if you want a natural finish, a very, not even, I wouldn't even say matte, but just like demi-matte, like again, natural finish, this one is fantastic. Very lightweight. It absorbs into the skin almost too quickly. If you're going to use this, absolutely put it in your hand, dot it across the face, and then spread it. Do not go in with one big glob on the face because it will absorb so rapidly that you're actually going to have to go in with more. So once all that has dried down, we know that we are protected. We have the antioxidants. We have the azelaic acid working in the background, helping to keep the skin clear, helping to avoid new or worsening set of pigmentation issues. We know that we are moisturized. We know that the skin was cleansed thoroughly. We have a great base for the rest of the day. Now, what can we do during the day to ensure that we don't mess that up? Well, first and foremost, we should avoid touching the face. We don't want to get sunscreen into our eyes. When we're dealing with a warmer day, the potential for sweat, for example, to get into the eyes is very real. I'm sorry, but if you're going to the pool or if you're going to the beach, makeup is a non-issue because you shouldn't be wearing any, frankly, because it's going to impede your willingness to reapply your sunscreen. Now, if you have a tinted sunscreen that you absolutely love, use that. Just use that as like a foundation base type thing, but make sure you're applying the correct amount, right? But generally speaking, I would say just forego the makeup, forego the concealer, forego all of these things. If you want some coverage, find a tinted sunscreen, preferably mineral, honestly, because it's going to be a lot easier to get that up and around the eyes than a chemical sunscreen. Although I will say the Black Girl Sunscreen Kits, I tolerate that very well around the eyes. For an American sunscreen, it is very, very tolerable around the eyes. Editing Connor here. I did not want to leave this video without an effective tinted mineral option, both because I think it's worth mentioning that mineral options are important to keep in mind for the individuals that are more sensitive around the eyes than maybe I am, for example. Obviously, having a sunscreen that you can rely on that is not going to break you out, but is also not going to cause you agony when you're at the pool, at the beach, etc. That's important. I mentioned in my video where I outlined my routine, the Tizo sunscreen, that is not necessarily going to be an option for everybody, both because for some it might be a bit too expensive, but also because frankly, I'm not even sure exactly which Tizo sunscreen it is. I just have an idea. I will link that down below just in case you want to give it a shot. I'm sure it's probably a good sunscreen nonetheless, but particularly for the individuals that want some level of coverage and therefore need a tint to their product, because as I say in the video, I really don't recommend going into a pool day, a beach day, any kind of extensive outdoor day with makeup on. The reason for that is not because wearing the makeup itself is going to be problematic. It's because if you're wearing the makeup, obviously you don't want to mess it up. Now, what is going to mess up your makeup? Probably reapplying your sunscreen. What should you be doing if you're going to be spending a ton of time outside? Reapplying your sunscreen. So you can see where that creates a little bit of an issue because you're being motivated not to reapply your sunscreen because you don't want to mess up the makeup that you presumably took a lot of time on and also spent money on. So I realize that that is something that some people will do, in particular people that have acne. Like maybe you are like me, you struggle with acne, but maybe you have not yet achieved, clear skin. Maybe you have not yet reached a point where you're comfortable in your skin. And that is something that I absolutely want to be empathetic to. So for the individuals that want some level of coverage, they know they're not going to get the same level of coverage that they could expect from the makeup that they could safely and reasonably use like for an office day, for example. The Mineral UV Tint. This is from Neutrogena. It is a face fluid. Comes in a pretty awful package, I will say, given the nature of the formula because it is thinner. But this one is fantastic. I absolutely love it. Now, finding the perfect shade for you might be a little bit of a challenge. That being said, there are 4 shades, if I'm remembering correctly. The other thing, too, is that while I would generally not recommend mixing sunscreens, whenever it is a formula that is basically exactly the same, the only difference is the color. It's really just a matter of the concentration or the kind of pigment added. I have less of an issue with people mixing those products. If you're a cosmetic chemist and you can give me a reasonable explanation as to why, taking, for example, the lighter shade and the darker shade of 2 sunscreens from the exact same line, not the exact same brand, because if Neutrogena has, for example, a ton of sunscreens, they're not, you can't just mix them indiscriminately. That's not what I'm saying. But when you have a particular formula that just comes in different colors, generally speaking, I would say it's probably fine to mix those in order to get a shade that matches your skin tone, because the base formula is basically the same. The difference is not in the UV filters, because that is a potential issue. Combining different UV filters in a formula or a mixture could potentially cause issues. But when you're talking about the formula that is essentially identical, the only difference being the concentration or kind of pigment, generally speaking, I would expect that that would still confer a relatively decent amount of protection. So if that is the thing that gets you to put the sunscreen on your face and reapply, I would much rather you use a combination of these 2, like maybe 2 different shades of this mineral UV fluid than use no sunscreen whatsoever. Or use sunscreen, but then apply makeup on top, and then because you're wearing the makeup, you don't reapply. That's not feasible. Particularly not at a pool day, not at a beach day, because you're going to be getting wet. If you're not getting wet, you're getting sweaty. If you're not getting sweaty, you're like touching your face occasionally. So I would be comfortable with somebody using this product in particular. It is only SPF 30, which is not ideal. So if you're using this SPF 30, but you're using enough of it, then I think that that's a reasonable amount of sun protection for a regular day at the beach, right? If you're going to be out at the beach or at the pool for hours and hours and hours, I would generally prefer that you do just use an SPF 50. If you could find a tinted SPF 50 or tinted SPF 40, something that's a little bit higher than this SPF 30, that would be ideal. That being said, this is water resistant. The finish is fantastic. It is relatively affordable. It is mineral, so it is unlikely to cause too much irritation if used around the eyes, which you should be doing. You should be applying your sunscreen basically up to the lash line, provided you can tolerate it, because even with sunglasses, there is exposure to UV, because UV can reflect off of molecules in the air, it reflects off of the sand, it reflects off of the concrete, it reflects off of everything. So ensuring that your skin is protected not only by using something like a hat or sunglasses, by using sunscreen as close to the eyes as you can tolerate, you're going to be getting protection on an area of the face that is extremely susceptible not only to damage, but also to certain kinds of skin cancers. So it's worth taking the time to find a sunscreen that you're able to tolerate up around the eyes, because you're going to see extensive benefits in the years to come if you're able to consistently protect that area from that UV exposure. So didn't want to leave this video without an effective mineral recommendation, in particular a tinted mineral recommendation for those individuals that do not feel comfortable going out with completely bare skin. That is a problem that I used to face. It is absolutely valid. I've been there. I'm very thankful that both as a consumer, but also as a skincare professional, that I've managed to achieve clear skin that I'm able to maintain at this point. But if you are not yet there, that's totally fine. I understand that that creates some additional challenges for you. This routine is designed to help keep skin clear and help to get skin clear, but I don't want to dismiss the fact that for some people, you're not there yet, and you do still want to do all of the right things. You do still want to use a sunscreen that will protect your skin, but you acknowledge that makeup, for example, is not really the best choice. So finding something like this that works well for you, that is within your budget, I think is absolutely amazing. That is what I would recommend. So let's get back to the video. We do want to make sure that you're reapplying your sunscreen. You should make sure that you're doing that with clean hands. Now, if you're at the beach, as I have been in the past, and you need to reapply your sunscreen because maybe you got in the water, maybe you had to towel off, maybe something got in your eye and you had to wipe away some of the sunscreen, whatever the case, making sure that your hands are clean before applying that sunscreen particularly in the case of acne, is very important. Why do I say that? Is acne a disease of uncleanliness? Absolutely not. Can it be made worse by having a very dirty face? Absolutely. Do with that what you will. So what I typically do, and no, this is not the most environmentally friendly thing, but this is not an everyday situation, right? So this is not something that I would recommend that you be doing on a daily basis, but having alcohol hand wipes. This is something that I think came out of, the moment that we had the past few years. I buy them at Target. They are baby wipe sized alcohol wipes, and I'm obsessed. They are so useful and so handy for a number of different reasons. I use them to clean my hands because you have the physical action of the wipe itself, but you also have the antimicrobial action of the alcohol that they're soaked in. It's like a one-step hand wash for moments where you can't actually wash your hands. I prefer this over a baby wipe and hand sanitizer combination, and I prefer that for two reasons. One, you are only using one product. Two, you are avoiding the issues that can arise about the residue that can be left on the hands and therefore placed on the face. When you have baby wipes that often have multiple ingredients, these wipes are literally soaked in nothing but water and isopropyl alcohol. There's no residue because the water will evaporate, the alcohol will evaporate. The only thing that would be considered residue is something that was on your hand already that wasn't effectively removed. But even then, we're reducing it effectively. If you take your time to really wipe your hands with these, you're going to find that they're going to get your hands pretty clean. And I absolutely love this for the occasions when you're at the beach or at the pool, whatever the case is. If like a sink is not something that is readily accessible, a clean sink, if we're being honest, is not readily accessible, this is a really, really great way to make sure that your hands are clean, that they're dry, that they are, free of excessive bacteria, so on and so forth. Whether you have these wipes or not, have some kind of way to dispose of any garbage, any kind of refuse, etc. when you're out at the beach or you're at the pool. So whether that is like a shopping bag, whatever the case is, make sure you have something to like put stuff like this in, whether it's napkins, it's like, snack wrappers, whatever the case is. Just make sure that you have something that you can put this stuff in because we don't want this just floating around, right? That's not good. So what else is there? I would also say that using a hypochlorous acid spray during the day is very useful. And I will also point out that I don't really even recommend facial sprays, except for two: thermal spring water sprays and hypochlorous acid sprays. Why do I recommend hypochlorous acid sprays? Because they actually serve a function that I think can be effectively achieved with a mist during the day. I like them because what they aim to do is reduce the burden of microbes on the surface of the skin. You don't need to worry about trapping that product underneath a moisturizer, for example, in order for it to be effective. Now, when you're talking about a hydrating mist, depending upon the formulation, you could actually be dehydrating your skin because as that water evaporates, it could bring moisture with it. And that could mean that your skin is left feeling more dry than it was before you used the product. Now, I do like, a hydrating mist when you're doing your routine. The idea is that at the end of the routine, you're going to be locking in all that moisture with something occlusive like a moisturizer or a sunscreen. That is generally not the case when we're talking about, midday use. So what is useful in my mind is a spray that can help to reduce potentially inflammatory microbes on the surface of the skin, because when you think about it, you're going to be applying moisturizer, then you're applying sunscreen. You have this film basically across the face. Particulate matter and microbes, other things will adhere to that film and will sit on the skin, potentially contributing to issues. So having a light mist like this throughout the day, also taken together with the fact that it will help to reduce any potential microbial overgrowth, reducing the burden of that bacteria on the surface of the skin that could then contribute to that body odor. Because if you are in a situation where you sweat heavily, but then maybe you go inside to get lunch. Okay? If your pool day or your beach day started at like 10 a.m. and then at noon or at 1, you go inside because you're going to get lunch. Having something like this that you can very discreetly apply to various body sites during the day is very, very useful. Not just for acne prevention, but for body odor prevention, for skin irritation prevention. This is just a fantastic multi-purpose product to have on hand when you are going to the beach, when you're going to the pool. It is not a must-have. It is a a nice to have, but it is something that is absolutely worth mentioning. Something else that I'll mention is with pools in particular, because of the exposure to the chlorine and the various chemicals that are used in order to keep pools safe. We want those chemicals in there because otherwise that would be disgusting. Nevertheless, they can cause skin irritation, and any kind of skin irritation that contributes to inflammation can contribute to new or worsening breakouts. So being on top of that is going to be really, really useful. Ensuring that we remove those potentially irritating deposits from the skin as soon as possible once we're finished with the pool, it's going to be very useful. So we'll go into what I would recommend for the evening routine, but even if your evening routine happens like, mid-afternoon because you finished your pool day at like 2, 3 o'clock, this is going to be really useful. Making sure that your routine allows you to effectively remove the chlorine and whatever else, frankly, could be attached to your skin after a pool day is going to be really helpful at just preventing that additional dryness and irritation, the things that can happen when you leave some of that stuff on the skin for too long. So what would I say is your evening routine? What I would say is that a double cleanse is an absolute must. Why is a double cleanse necessary? One, it just is a more effective cleanse. Generally speaking, that's useful because we accumulate all kinds of things throughout the day, whether that's dirt, oil, debris, product, etc. But particularly when you're talking about a pool day or a beach day, you're not just talking about dirt, debris, pollution, etc. You're talking about sweat. You're talking about repeat application of sunscreen if you're doing things correctly. You're going to be removing a lot more from your skin than you normally would be, not just in the way of product, but in the way of the various environmental things that you can come into contact with when you're out at the beach or when you're at the pool, So an effective double cleanse, I think, is just absolutely essential. After a pool day, after a beach day, it's just, to me, it's a non-negotiable. So what I would recommend is the CeraVe Cream to Foam Cleanser. I would use this on dry skin as a first cleanse, then go in with water to rinse away. This does a fantastic job of breaking down water-resistant sunscreen, non-water resistant sunscreen, oil-based skin contaminants, including your own sebum. This is just a fantastic product. You can use this twice as a first and second cleanse. The second cleanse, of course, would be on damp skin, but I do find that used in that way, it can be a bit too drying. Even living in Florida and having what I would consider combination skin, I really do just love this as a first cleanse. And part of the reason why is because it's readily accessible. Not some weird cleansing oil that you have to buy online. It can be used in the shower because it has a pump. It's very straightforward. I just absolutely love it. Like, from a practical perspective, it's just a very great product to have on hand. I would then follow that again, same product as the morning, the pre-pool cleanser. It is skin soothing, is hydrating, and again, hydrated skin is always better protected skin, more resilient skin, less inflamed skin. So that's all beneficial. But it also, again, because it has so much playtime, you can really work that into the skin, and it won't be too drying, it won't be too irritating like a lot of products can be. So I would go in with those two products to begin, but then I would follow with ideally a hydrating but also antioxidant rich product. I'm going to just bring in the vitamin C complex serum again. When you apply a vitamin C product in the evening, you are actually likely to be more well protected in the morning following that evening application, because your skin will retain some level of vitamin C from that evening application. So you can think about the vitamin C in your skin almost like a fuel tank. You can only store so much vitamin C in the skin, but whenever you're exposed to environmental aggressors like UV, pollution, etc., you're reducing the amount of active vitamin C in the skin because it's being expended at this potentially increased rate because of the increased sun exposure, because of the increased exposure to pollutants. So having that vitamin C applied in the morning as well as in the evening is going to ensure that you have those vitamin C levels topped up at all times. It's going to mean that your skin is just very well suited to tolerate and defend against the various external aggressors that it's going to come into contact with during an average pool day, during an average beach day. So I do think that there's value in applying a vitamin C product in the evening. But as I've said before, this product is not only an antioxidant product, it's also hydrating. And again, replenishing that hydration, particularly in the case of a pool or beach day where you do need a relatively robust cleansing process in the evening that does, just by the very nature of the cleansing process, create some risk of dryness and irritation. Something hydrating like this product is going to be very useful, particularly when layered underneath some of what we're about to go into. So after you've cleansed and hydrated your skin following a day at the beach, a day at the pool, the thing that I think is really, really important, particularly for people that are acne prone, or frankly have any other kind of skincare problem that is being actively managed by a specific ingredient or by a specific product, keep that in the routine. People talk about how you need to stop using retinoids during the summer because they can potentially increase the sun sensitivity. That is not something that has been definitively proven. It is something that some people have reported anecdotally. They notice that their skin is more sensitive, generally speaking, when they're using a retinoid. I would argue that much of that sensitivity is down to the fact that those individuals have probably not achieved complete tolerance. So they might be in a situation where they're kind of walking the line between like just being able to tolerate this product and then becoming overstimulated and irritated by it, or they have just started using it and they're in that retinization phase, which, as we know, is irritating. It is drying, there's flakiness involved, there's redness, there's inflammation. If your skin is in a state like that, then yes, you're going to be more sun sensitive. You're also going to be more sensitive to the wind, to pollution, to hard water, like to everything, right? Because your skin barrier is compromised, because your skin is being changed at a fundamental level. So if you are past that, if you are past the point of retinization, you're using something like a retinoid consistently, I would say keep on going. Unless otherwise directed by your healthcare provider, you should probably be continuing to use the products that you use to maintain and manage your conditions. Even though it is the summer, you just need to be a little bit more cautious, because the thing is with something like a retinoid, and the one that I would recommend for individuals that are acne prone, particularly in the summer, is different gel, which is adapalene 0.1%. This is FDA approved to treat acne. We know that it treats acne. It has to meet these standards because it is considered a drug. It is going to be absolutely more effective than any other retinoid that you're going to find on the market without a prescription in the United States. It does not just treat acne. I can speak from experience. It delivers fantastic anti-aging results. We know that it helps to clear pigmentation. We also know from anecdotal evidence, as well as select trials, that have shown that it helps to improve the appearance of scars, like true scars where there's been some collagen depletion. This does stimulate collagen production. It helps to improve the texture of the skin. It helps to lift the skin by building up that collagen. It does so many things. It is not just an acne treatment. Anybody that tells you that it is just an acne treatment is either oversimplifying it or is ignorant to the various benefits that this product, this ingredient rather, can confer. So I would say for the average person not super sensitive, using something like different gel is going to be very, very useful. It will help to keep your skin clear. Now, if you are somebody that has very sensitive skin or just generally finds that you're very dry at baseline, the thing that I would recommend, because we're talking about acne prone skin, is the Naturium retinaldehyde cream serum at 0.05%. Why do I recommend this? It is moisturizing and hydrating. It is a relatively low concentration because we're fortunately getting very high concentrations of retinol on the market, including from Naturium. It is still a high enough concentration that we would expect to see some pore clearing benefit there. The other thing too is that retinaldehyde specifically has antimicrobial benefits, so reducing the burden of the acne-causing bacteria while also helping to improve skin behavior to prevent pore clogging. It's just going to be a very well-rounded approach, I think. So again, if you can tolerate the different gel, go with that. If you cannot, start with something like the retinaldehyde cream serum. Once you start with the 0.05, you can graduate to the next level. Naturium has 3 strengths of this product. They're all fantastic. Base formula is just great. Just absolutely love it. You're probably going to see more durable results from something like different gel, which again has been proven, FDA approved to help to treat acne. So if that is your concern, this is a fantastic product to have on board. Do I stop it during the summer? Absolutely not. What I do when I'm in the summer months is ensure that I am protecting my skin from the sun. That is not just sunscreen, that is sun protective clothing. We're talking about shade-seeking behaviors. We're talking about avoiding peak exposure. Sunscreen is not your first line of defense. It should be part of a sun protective strategy. And you might say, well, I mean, I want to enjoy the sun, so why would I be using this during the summer? Well, what I would say is if you care about the appearance of your skin, you should be doing all of those things anyway. So all of the sun protection measures that I would recommend for somebody that is using adapalene or something like it, I would apply to everybody else. Because if you're talking to me about how to take care of your skin, how to optimize your skin's appearance, appearance, sun protecting is going to be a very, very important piece. And it's not just because certain products make your skin more sun sensitive. It's because the sun is the thing that causes 80 to 90% of all visible signs of skin aging. So if you care about fine lines and wrinkles, you care about pigmentation, the sunscreen has to be there. And so if you already have it, you're already committed to it, adding in something like a retinoid, like, a glycolic acid, for example, depending upon your concerns, is not going to be the end of your summer experience. It's just going to mean that you have that much more to protect, because by using something powerful like a retinoid, you should want to protect that investment. And by doing the things that I recommended, by using the sunscreen, by using sun protective clothing, by avoiding peak exposure, by seeking shade, you're going to be doing exactly that. You're going to be protecting the investment that you've made in your skin. That is both a financial thing as well as a cosmetic thing. You're going to get much more out of the products that you're using if you ensure that you're effectively protecting your skin from the sun. Now, in order to prevent the breakouts that can sometimes come from these oily, greasy, sweaty messes that can sometimes coincide with that diligent sun protection, we just need to make sure that we have a really effective cleansing step in the evening routine or in the afternoon routine, depending upon the day, whatever the case is. So if you're able to ensure that you can effectively remove the product that you're using during the day, in the afternoon, in the evening, whatever the case, you're going to get the benefit of that sun protection without the added risk of new or worsening breakouts. How I would finish off this routine is with a moisturizing product, one that is actually a little more moisturizing than you might be used to. Why do I say that? Because your skin is going to be tested by the sun. It is going to be tested by this cleansing routine that you're going to have to follow in order to prevent new and worsening breakouts because of all of the product that you have to apply in order to effectively protect your skin. Your skin's going to be tested by the products that you're applying to protect the skin. Keeping the skin hydrated and moisturized is going to be critical to ensure you can continue to tolerate the retinoids that are keeping your skin clear, to ensure that your skin barrier is well equipped to protect against those various external aggressors that you're going to come into contact with when you're out and about at the pool, at the beach, etc. It's just going to make everything work more effectively, and it's going to make the whole process much more smooth. So what I would recommend is actually the Vanicream moisturizing cream. It comes in a tub. It is thicker. It is thicker. Now, what I will tell you though, is that if you apply a small amount of this on damp skin, it spreads beautifully. You're going to get a nice, thin, even film, but you're going to feel like your skin is being nourished. It's being protected. It's being comforted. That is what we want. This is, however, not so occlusive as to be problematic the way Aquaphor or Vaseline could be if you were using something like adapalene or like another retinoid, because occluding that with something like an ointment could potentially increase the risk of irritation. So we don't want to do that. But using something that is moisturizing without being completely occlusive is just going to mean that you're going to be that much more well equipped to handle the products that follow in the morning, the products that are then going to follow the following night. It's just going to set you up for success. So it might feel a little bit thicker than you're used to, but we generally produce less oil during the night, so we should generally be using something slightly richer in the evening anyway. So I do recommend that you give it a try. I do find that this product, even for somebody that is relatively combination that can feel oily at times, used reasonably, this can still be a very versatile product. I think it's fantastic to have on hand, even if you don't find that this is the thing for you to use in your morning or evening routine, having it to go to in a moment where your skin's been compromised. Like if your skin was sunburnt, for example, I would cleanse your skin, and I would, on damp skin, following an effective rinse with lukewarm, not super warm water, I would go in with a nice thick layer of this Vanicream moisturizing cream. Fantastic. Fantastic. I would not go in with an alcohol-laced aloe vera gel, because that's probably not going to do very much for you. This is a fantastic product. I've been using it for years at this point, and I continue to use it. I will continue to use it for years. I really hope they never get rid of it because it's fantastic. Thank you for watching. If you found any of this useful, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you heard me talking about retinoids and thought maybe that would be a good thing for you to incorporate, but you're not exactly sure where to get started, I do have this free retinoid readiness guide that I will link down below. This helps you to just understand some of the key reasons why retinoids are useful, kind of give you a sense of which one might be best for you to start with, as well as give you some tips and tricks on how to minimize irritation while maximizing benefit. but there's a little bit of nuance involved in getting started with retinoids, so I hope that this guide helps break down some of those common questions. But if that's of interest, feel free to click the link down below. Affiliate links to all products discussed will be down below as well, but I'll see you in the next one.